Jeremiah Andrew Denton, Jr. was a Rear Admiral and Naval Aviator in the United States Navy and, following his retirement from naval service, was a United States Senator from the state of Alabama. He spent almost 8 years as a prisoner of war in North Vietnam and later wrote a book that became a film about those experiences. Denton is best known from this period of his life for the 1966 televised press conference in which he was forced to participate as an American POW by his North Vietnamese captors. He used the opportunity to communicate successfully and to confirm for the first time to the U.S. Office of Naval Intelligence and Americans that American POWs were being tortured in North Vietnam. He repeatedly blinked his eyes in Morse code during the interview, spelling out the word torture. Early life and military career. Denton was born in Mobile, Alabama, the oldest of 3 brothers, and the son of Jeremiah, Asa and Irene Denton. Denton attended McGill Institute and Spring Hill College in Mobile, Alabama. In June 1943, he entered the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, and graduated 3 years later in the accelerated class of 1947. His 34-year naval career included service on a variety of ships and on aircraft, including airships. His principal field of endeavor was naval operations. He also served as a test pilot, flight instructor, and commanding officer of an attack squadron flying the A-6 Intruder. In 1957, he was credited with revolutionizing naval strategy and tactics for nuclear war as architect of the haystack concept. This strategy called for concealing aircraft carriers from radar by intermingling with commercial shipping and avoiding formations suggestive of a naval fleet. The strategy was simulated in maneuvers and demonstrated effectiveness, allowing 2 aircraft carrier fleets 35 simulated atomic launches before aggressor aircraft and submarines could repel them. He went on to serve on the staff of the Commander, U.S. 6th Fleet at the rank of Commander as Fleet Air Defense Officer. Denton graduated from the Armed Forces Staff College and the Naval War College, where his thesis on international affairs received top honors by earning the prestigious President's Award. In 1964, he received the degree of Master of Arts in International Affairs from George Washington University in Washington, D.C. Prisoner of war, Denton served as a United States Naval Aviator during the Vietnam War and was the commanding officer of Attack Squadron 75 aboard the aircraft carrier USS Independence. On July 18, 1965, then-Commander Denton was flying an A-6A Intruder off the Independence with Lieutenant Bill Studi, his navigator bombardier, leading 28 planes on a bombing mission. They ejected when their jet was shot down over the city of Than Ho in North Vietnam, and they were captured and taken prisoner by the North Vietnamese. Denton and Studi were both held as prisoners of war for almost 8 years, 4 of which were spent in solitary confinement. Denton was notable for his leadership during the Hanoi March in July 1966, when he and over 50 American prisoners were paraded through the streets of Hanoi and beaten by North Vietnamese civilians. Denton is best known from this period of his life for the 1966 televised press conference in which he was forced to participate as an American POW by his North Vietnamese captors. He used the opportunity to communicate successfully and to confirm for the first time to the U.S. Office of Naval Intelligence and Americans that American POWs were being tortured in North Vietnam. He repeatedly blinked his eyes in Morse code during the interview, spelling out torture. He was also questioned about his support for the U.S. war in Vietnam, to which he replied, "I don't know what is happening, but whatever the position of my government is, I support it fully. Whatever the position of my government, I believe in it, yes sir. I am a member of that government, and it is my job to support it, and I will as long as I live." While a prisoner, he was promoted to the rank of captain. Denton was later awarded the Navy Cross and several other decorations, mostly for heroism while a prisoner of war. Denton was put in the Hanoi Hilton, and the Zoo Prison and Prison Camp in Little Vegas, and Alcatraz prisons. In Alcatraz, he became part of a group of American POWs known as the Alcatraz Gang. The group consisted of James Mulligan, George Thomas Coker, George McKnight, James Stockdale, Harry Jenkins, Sam Johnson, Howard Rutledge, Robert Shoemaker, Ronald Stitz and Nels Tanner. They were put in Alcatraz and solitary confinement to separate them from other POWs because their strong resistance led other POWs in resisting their captors. Alcatraz was a special facility in a courtyard behind the North Vietnamese Ministry of National Defense, located about 1 mile away from Ho Lo Prison. Each of the American POWs spent day and night in windowless 3-by-9-foot cells mostly in irons. On February 12, 1973, both Denton and Studi were released in Hanoi by the North Vietnamese along with numerous other American POWs during Operation Homecoming. Stepping off the jet back home in uniform, Denton said, "We are honored to have had the opportunity to serve our country under difficult circumstances. We are profoundly grateful to our Commander-in-Chief and to our nation for this day. God bless America." The speech has a prominent place in the 1987 documentary, Dear America, Letters Home from Vietnam. Post-captivity, Denton was hospitalized briefly at the Naval Hospital Portsmouth, Virginia, and then was assigned to the staff of Commander, Naval Air Forces, U.S. Atlantic Fleet. In January 1974, Denton became the Commandant of the Armed Forces Staff College, now known as the Joint Forces Staff College. He stepped down as Commandant in April 1975 and continued to work at the college until June 1977. He finished his active duty service at Naval Air Station Pensacola, Florida, and retired from the Navy on November 1, 1977 with the rank of Rear Admiral. He wrote his book in 1976, When Hell Was in Session, detailing his detention as an American POW in North Vietnam. The book was later turned into a television movie of the same title, starring Hal Holbrook as Denton. He accepted a position with the Christian Broadcasting Network as a consultant to CBN founder and friend, Pat Robertson, from 1978 to 1980. During his time with CBN, both Denton and Robertson repeatedly expressed support for the Contra forces in Nicaragua. In 1981, he founded and chaired the National Forum Foundation. Through his National Forum Foundation, Denton arranged shipments of donated goods to countries in need of aid. Political career: Denton ran as a Republican for a U.S. Senate seat from his home state of Alabama in 1980. He first easily defeated former U.S. Congressman Armistead Selden in the Republican primary. Selden was the candidate of choice of the Republican establishment in the state. He then achieved a surprise victory with 50.15% of the vote in November over Democrat Jimmy Folsom, Jr., who himself had defeated the incumbent, Donald W. Stewart, in the Democratic primary. In doing so, Denton became the only retired admiral to be elected to the United States Senate. He was the first Republican to be popularly elected in the state since the direct election of U.S. Senators began in 1914. He was also the first Republican senator since Reconstruction to represent Alabama in the U.S. Senate, and the first Catholic to be elected to statewide office in Alabama. In the U.S. Senate, he compiled a conservative voting record. He was featured in a 1981 article in Time magazine called The Admiral from Alabama. In 1986, he narrowly lost his bid for re-election to 7th District Congressman Richard Shelby, receiving 49.72% of the vote. Shelby later became a Republican in 1994. Personal life: in 2007, his wife, Jane, died. They had been married for 61 years. Denton died of complications from a heart ailment at a hospice in Virginia Beach on March 28, 2014. He was 89 years old. He is buried at Arlington National Cemetery with his wife Jane. References. External links: Biography of Senator Denton in the Biographical Directory of the U.S. Congress, Appearances on C-SPAN, Admiral Jeremiah Denton Foundation, Video of Denton's POW interview from U.S. National Archives. To find this segment specifically, choose Contents Scenes from Hell. Denton. Jeremiah Denton Jr. at the Encyclopedia of Alabama, http, www.snopes.com. Religion. Denton Asp. Article on ADM Denton not being allowed to speak before California Assembly on July 4, 2004, funeral slideshow.